Hey everyone, it's TheAngryHoneyBadger, and it is time to take a look at a Ziggs build. Going to be playing him in the middle lane, playing him as a mage, and we're going to go ahead and talk about his items that we like to buy for him, his abilities, runes, masteries, all of the good stuff in this video. So sit back and let's enjoy learning about Ziggs. We're going to go over his abilities first, if you don't know anything about those. First we have his passive, which is his short fuse. Every 12 seconds, your next basic attack is going to deal damage based on level and ability power. It's going to deal bonus damage on it, and this will be magic damage. This has a reduced cooldown of 4 seconds off of it whenever you use an ability, so you can get this up quicker if you are using abilities. It's pretty nice when you are laning. Whenever it comes up, it is easier to last hit with it, and it is a very good poke utility item as well against whoever you're laning against. Next, then there is your Bouncing Bomb, which is your Q ability. You're going to put a point into this at level 1 and max this out first. Whenever you throw a Bouncing Bomb, it's going to deal magic damage, and it'll bounce twice before exploding, so it'll bounce a little bit further beyond its range if you're trying to get somebody running away, but it starts to trail off on its speed. But you can throw this, whatever it hits first, it's going to explode on, so if they're standing by minions and you hit it on minions, it will explode and probably deal damage to them as well. So that is your Bouncing Bomb, and like I said, we're going to max this out first as your main damage. Then at level 2, you're going to put a point into your E ability, which is your Hexplosive Minefield. You're going to scatter 11 proximity mines that detonate on enemy contact. So if they step on them, they will go off. The first mine is going to deal more damage than sequential bombs that they do step on. They will decrease in damage. And this will also then slow them for 1.5 seconds. So it's pretty good stuff, and the mines are going to stay on the map for 10 seconds if nobody steps on them, so that's where they will sit. So that is what your your E ability is, and that is something you will max out second. Then there is your W. We'll put a point into this at level typically 3 or 4, depending on where you do with your points. This is your Satchel Charge. You fling this, and whenever you detonate it, you can detonate it yourself, or detonate it after 4 seconds automatically is what it will do. It will deal some magic damage as well, and it will knock enemies away, or at least from whatever side of it they are, or if you're standing on it, it will knock you further away if you're trying to get some space between you and some other people. So we'll get to see us do this a few times this game to knock them a little bit, to get them to stop retreating, or try to knock them towards us if we're trying to kill them, or if you're just trying to get away, we'll be doing stuff with it as well for that. And that's that, and you're going to max that out last in the game. And then finally, there is your Mega Inferno Bomb, which is your ultimate. Basically, you just chuck your bomb into the air. It's going to deal a lot of damage in a big circle. Hopefully, they are not out of that circle, because they can kind of see it coming for a split second before it lands. You can throw it from pretty far distance. It does a lot of damage. And the further away you are, I believe they'll take 80% of the damage or something. Something like that. So yeah, that's how it kind of works, and I just used it there. But that is your ultimate. So those are his abilities. Like I said, we're maxing out our Q, then our E, then our W, and then you put points into your ultimate at levels 6, 11, and 16. At level 1, what we did is we started with a Dorans ring and 2 health pots. Didn't have to actually touch these health pots. We're doing pretty good in the lane. Me and Vlad are pretty much just farming up this game so far. But the Dorans ring is nice because we get that extra AP, which helps with those bombs hurting a lot more early game. The mana regeneration from it as well, and the health. And then you get some mana back each time you do last hit enemy creeps. So whenever you're killing that those creeps and those minions, you are going to be getting some mana back. First trip back to base, what I try to do is always pick up a Chalice of Harmony. It will help me out with some magic resist and some mana regeneration, so we can just chuck bombs even more often. Here we're getting into a little bit of a fight with Vladimir. Gonna knock him back toward us so he can't escape that way, causing him to walk into our bombs. He's gonna get slowed for a second, but he'll Blood Pool. Now that he has Blood Pool, though, I will just standard attack him instead of using my ultimate in case he would try to dodge it somehow, because I knew I didn't really need to use it there, because I still was in range of standard attacking on him. So just picked up a fairly simple kill there. And like I was saying, that Chalice will definitely help me in this lane, since he has some magic of damage himself that he will deal to me, so I'll be negating some of it with that Chalice. I also did finish off my boots completely, got my magic penetration boots just for a little bit of mobility and, you know, the damage because of the penetration. And then we also do have just another little amplifying tome for a little bit of damage. We will be building that into something in just a little bit. when we get to the proper moment to buy something for it. So that is what we're doing on early in the game. The Chalice is your main thing you want for laning. It allows you to push the lane really hard by killing the minions pretty quick if you're trying to push lanes hard. That is one nice thing that it's good about that. So that's one reason why you want that. And in case you're just really not amazing with Ziggs and you're missing your bombs, it won't feel quite as bad because you won't be burning quite as much mana. Volley coming in for a gank, and I threw the charge out to stop him. Volley actually bit him and it killed him, but he would have been murdered anyways. Volley actually apologizes there in chat. It's no big deal. We're going to be doing fine. I'll take an assist. That's okay. As long as they are dead and we are alive, that is progress. Progress, I tell you. So, killing Vlad again. J4 keeps showing up to lane. Because he's not ranged, if you get into a lane where the enemy champion is not ranged, you can poke on them a lot with your standard attack and with your Q. It will deal a lot. So if you get somebody in lane, maybe a Cassidon, a Fizz, somebody who needs to get up in front of the minions to kill them up close and personal, you can usually drop a lot of damage on them fairly early and get a pretty dominant lead over them. So just something to maybe keep in mind if you are playing as Ziggs. You really can have a lot of control with that passive and just your Q ability. So that will happen. We're going to move down here into bot. They just got a couple kills down here. We're going to try to get a hold of this Graves. He's actually going to try to commit suicide to the tower, I believe. I'm going to flash forward, hit him with one Q, and I chuck my ult just in case, but he will die to the tower. And I will pick up the kill on him. So just a quick little kill on Graves. Didn't want him to get away with a suicide there after he killed two of our champions in the bottom lane. So as the mid character on your team playing mid, you have as much map control as your jungler does, if not even more, because you are always in the middle, so you're never lopsided on one side. So don't be afraid to go help out your other lanes if they need it. Go down to a gank. Ziggs, luckily with his ultimate, you can chuck that from pretty far range. If somebody on your team dies in bottom lane or top lane, and the enemy champion is going to go back, and you could see for a split second that they started to hit B in a bush, or maybe just right behind their turret, you can chuck your bomb just like I just did now to try to pick up a quick kill on them before they go back. So don't be afraid to do that. You can use your ultimate from pretty good range, not exactly from middle to the far end, but if you're about halfway down the river, you can easily hit their tower. So just something to remember while you're playing as Ziggs, that he does have quite a lot of range and poke, so don't be afraid to use it. The last time we were back at base, not too horribly long ago, we did pick up a needlessly large rod, and that will be building towards one of our first main items that I try to get when I am playing as Ziggs. Because of his poke and just of his damage, you really want to ensure that you're maxing out his potential for damage, and that is what we're trying to do with that needlessly large rod that we'll be building towards a Deathcap shortly. So that's what we're going towards with that. Now, as for his Masteries, what we try to do with those is pretty standard for most mages. It's going to be a 21-9-0 or a 21-0-9, just depending on what you like to do, whether you like the defense where you get a little bit of health early and a little bit of resist, or if you like the utility tree and you pick up a little bit of mana regen, I think some cooldown, and then I think you can get increased buff durations if you want to do that as well. So go ahead and do that. Obviously, in the offensive tree, you will be picking up everything that will help with your damage. Now here, going to get into a bit of a fight. I am going to die here, so I'm going to focus on Vladimir, pick up a kill on him before I am taken out by the Grace who came up from bottom. Now our bot lane will get here. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything else to really pick up any kills here, but whenever you get ganked and you're in a position where you know you're going to die, just turn and fight. You might have a better chance of picking up a kill and killing one with you than just running and dying and not doing anything. So just remember, if you have the damage, don't be afraid to use it. So that is what we're going to be doing with that. Now, while we were back at this base, while we were dead, we picked up the Deathcap. And now we have plenty more damage now. And then we also did pick up the other half of our Athenes Unholy Grail with that Codex, and giving us a little bit of AP and giving us a little bit of cooldown reduction, which will definitely help out with our ability to spam our Q and everything else even more. So that is what we are doing with that. And I believe with a little bit of cooldown reduction on Ziggs, it does go a long way. You can throw your Q every like 3 seconds, maybe even less. So it's up quite often, which allows you to deal a lot of damage real quick, especially in fights, and the constant poke becomes a hassle for them if they're trying to push at all, because you can clear lanes so fast. So it really is kind of a pain for them to deal with, and that is going to happen. So coming down bot, going to check my ult and deal a lot of damage to a handful of them and help them kill that Thresh really quick. Volibear is getting low now. I'm going to use that little knock-up to get Jarvan out of the way, kill him before he can usually do something to Volibear, but luckily Volibear got healed up real quick. And we'll be able to push now this bottom lane quite well for the next few turrets. We got 4 of us together, so we're going to keep pushing. and our top lane is still busy up there doing what they want. Just kind of poking at people as we go through these lanes. We're going to move on to this next tower. Graves is going back too close to it. We're going to go ahead and chuck a Q, and we're going to go ahead and pick up a kill to get a killing spree now. And you really need to be aware if you're against Ziggs that his bombs do keep bouncing, so they really will hit you. I'm going to focus Vlad as he tries to come in here to deal some damage. An ult will come through from Ezreal to kill him, and then I will kill the Thresh. So they're just a little bit overextending their stays on us and not really realizing that we can poke them down while they come at us and while they're retreating. So you always have this just a little bit of extra range that you have with Ziggs. So just remember that, you know, lots of poke. This is kind of the main thing with him. If they don't commit to fights, you can pretty much just wear them down. I keep chucking abilities while we're going for objectives as well. They're finally going to jump on top of me. I will still pick up a kill, though, on Graves before J4 finally shuts me down and stops me. And the rest of my team, I think, will pick up a couple kills before dying out to them. But that was a pretty good push down the full side. We got 3 of those turrets and the inhibitor. So definitely pretty good stuff happening down there. And we have our top lane pushing, kind of, I guess. So that is also going on. Now, as for our runes, pretty standard stuff, most of the time, at least for our AP mid carries. I am going to go with magic penetration marks. We're going to go with mana, regen, per level seals. That's what I like to go with. Then I go with AP scaling glyphs, so you can get some more AP as you are in lane. You can also do magic resist if you really want to, but I like the AP scaling ones. And then quintessences are going to also be ability power quintessences. So that is what we're going to do with that. Now, we have finished off our Athenes Unholy Grail, and we have our Deathcap, and we have our boots, which is kind of our main just 3 little items, which is great. You actually do get quite a bit of damage from that. Now here we're going to get into a little bit of a fight that we should not get into, and we should be retreating, but they are going to catch us out. I'm trying to help best I can without trying to die recklessly to them, so I'm trying to get a little space between. J4 will knock me up. This is a point where I can throw that Hex Bind Field underneath me, which will slow all of them as they try to get to me. Get a little bit of space between me as Volley and Xin Zhao come down from top lane to help us out. Just going to help try to knock people away. Graves is hurting quite a bit, so I got to back up towards my tower. And just try to assist the team in any way that I can right now. But we really should have retreated right away from after getting Dragon. But, you know, that's going to happen. So you need to recognize when it's time to run away and not feed any more kills. So that's what we tried to do there. Now, the next item that I was starting to build is going to be part of my Zhonyas Hourglass. Got the first half of it, and now I've just finished it off completely. So now I do have stasis, and I do have a bit of armor. So that is very helpful if I am getting focused in any way. So don't forget to use that stasis if they do jump on you. That will maybe help save you or get your team to regroup on you. And they can help save you. So that is what we're doing with that item. Now, finally, the last 2 items in the build, you really can break this down into a few different items, kind of depending on what the enemy team is doing to you, and kind of depending on what you need just, you know, to counter them. So if they're really busting out a lot of magic resist on you, you can definitely go with a Void Staff. It's a pretty standard one. If not, and they have a lot of magic damage, then you can do an Abyssal Scepter, which will also help you out with some more penetration when you're around them. And then you also get that AP and that magic resist. So it is a very, very good item. Typically, that's what I would have been building next this game because their Vladimir had some decent damage. And that's what I would have been doing. If you look right now, my magic resist is a bit lower than my armor, but that's because of that Hourglass, which is very helpful. So those are a couple items you could definitely do. Now, if you're looking for some more health, because you're just kind of taking general damage, nothing too crazy, and you want some more crowd control because your team maybe is lacking a little bit, maybe you don't have as many stuns or slows or anything like that on your team, maybe you want to pick up a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, which will then allow you to then slow them whenever you hit them with an ability. So kiting around them in team fights will be a lot easier, and your bombs will probably land a little bit easier as well. So that's just something to think about. Another thing you can remember while you are fighting, or if you're in jungle lanes, or just any lanes really, with his W and his eel, or his eel, funny, eel, with his W and his E ability, you can set those next to each other and essentially shut off a whole lane from them charging at you. So if they're trying to close in on you, or if you can get that down in a team fight, you will pretty much slow them down completely or knock them towards you. So you can really shut off teams. So he does offer a lot of crowd control as well. So Ziggs is a very strong mid because of this. So if there's ever any ganks, he can usually toss out a handful of items and pretty much always be around and get away. So that's another thing to remember when you are playing as Ziggs. I think he's really fun. I think he does a lot of damage, and if you play him well, the results are great. He wins a lot of games, and he farms really easy, so definitely try him out if you've never played him. He's a good champion, and once you get used to him, you can win a lot of games. So that is what's going on in this game. We're going to wrap this up in a second, and we're pretty much going to call it GG. But if you have any questions about this build or anything about Ziggs, you can go ahead and put those down in the comments below. But other than that, I'll just see all of you guys in the next build video. You can also chase fairly well too right now. I'm going to slow him down one more time, and then I'm going to actually jump through the wall with my Q and get over to him while I'm invisible, hit him, which will crit him, and then use my Ravenous Hydra passive on that and kill him.